Well, yeah, because I believe in like precision pricing, like, and that's what you're saying, pricing it to the market. But also, I call it position pricing, like positioning it to the market. And like you said, a lot of times people say there's nothing happening, let's reduce it by 10,000. But a real good agent would look at the fact, okay, let's see where our best chances are. And Brian can attest to this. And the reason is you got to look at what are people qualifying and what are people buying. So what we can do is we can actually take a slide rule and see where the chances of success are. So if it could be 850 to 950, okay, where you're seeing better success rather than
listen to this episode. Thanks for listening in on what's happening in real estate this week. I got Conrad Zerini with REMAX Escarpment REMAX Niagara. Big broker city guy. He's one of the top brokers in the world, but we're lucky to have him here in Ontario. And then we got Mission 35 Mortgages with Brian Hogbin. Yeah, big team there. He's well worth listening to, and he does better than the banks. And you'd probably see his billboards. And myself, Rob Golfi, here with REMAX Escarpment, and we're here.
And he gets it sold. And he gets it sold.
And we get it. And we get it sold. So the one thing we're going to talk about is pricing your home right. The difference between, it could be the difference between $20,000 to getting your house sold versus, you know what I mean, like different price points. And there's certain percentages. If you go over, let's say it could be in Hamilton. I think if you go over 800,000, you could drop your percentage in selling if you were just at 800,000 or less. And you know, and a lot of people, this is the typical line that most sellers make, which is a big mistake. Mm-hmm. They say, well, we want room for negotiations. I go, forget the room for negotiations. I says, it's better to price it right and say no to an offer and then not get any offers at all. I go, and you know what? If they follow that strategy, they will get their house sold for top dollar. But when they start pricing it high into a different price bracket, which is less percentage of people looking in that price bracket, then they reduce it. They basically kind of euchred themselves. Like, Conrad, you're the expert on these stats.
Well, yeah, because I believe in like precision pricing, like, and that's what you're saying, pricing it to the market. But also I call it position pricing, like positioning it to the market. And like you said, a lot of times people say there's nothing happening, let's reduce it by 10,000. But a real good agent would look at the fact, okay, let's see where our best chances are. And Brian can attest to this. And the reason is you got to look at what are people qualifying and what are people buying. So what we can do is we can actually take a slide rule and see where the chances of success are. So if it could be 850 to 950, okay, where you're seeing better success rather than 900 to a million. And it makes a difference because you could see, like, and I did it in Niagara, for instance. So all of Niagara was 36% of the new listing inventory was getting sold. So 1 out of 3. In the price point between, it was between 650 and 750, only 31%. So less than a third were selling. But if you went from 550 to 650, okay, now your chances went up to 54%. So this is what I'm talking about. So this property in particular, lots of activity listed at 679. The natural inclination would go, let's go to 659. No, I'm telling you, you got to go to like 649, 639. Then you're going to see activity, and then you're going to see maybe multiple offers and people pretty excited. And going back to negotiation, the other number you got to look at is what's the list to sales ratio. And in a lot of markets, believe it or not, it's very tight. It's 98%. So if you're overpriced by 10 or 15%, and the leeway is only 2%, people are not going to make that offer, bar none. They just aren't doing it.
No, and you know what? And that's everywhere. And I even did in Oakville, not Oakville, Burlington. The difference between like let's say a million to 1.1, but you're going based on the half number, you would go 950 to 1,050,000. But I saw that there was a jump because I mean Burlington's a higher end market than it is Hamilton, anywhere Niagara. But there is a significant difference in the price point. I love the word precision pricing.
And position pricing.
Position pricing.
Yeah, both. Yeah. I call it precision. And then now you feed back into what is this thing selling per square foot. Now you start to be more about the precision, right? That's the precision. And the position pricing, where are you positioned in the market? Where is the biggest pool of buyers in that market? And it might not be 10,000 up. It might be 30,000. You might not want to hear it, but that's your better chance of being able to sell.
And there's a high probability if you did price it a little bit under that market, you might get into multiple offers.
Absolutely.
And it would help you probably get more than what you would. But like it's so funny. Like the stats that I read, I learn a lot, Conrad. Like I got to learn how to do those numbers again. Like
yeah,
like
we'll do
you
it.
just
We'll
told
do
us.
it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I want to do that because it is so valuable, and we're having actually our state of the company address. I think next week. I got to talk to you. I want to figure that how to do that.
Sure. Yeah.
And show it to my team to make the difference, and they can actually present it to sellers to show them the difference. The one thing, I got to tell you a story. Now, I hope I got time. So I went on this appointment. It was waterfront property, beautiful waterfront. Like it had. I can't remember what the frontage of waterfront it was. Gorgeous house, everything. I went in there with Dan, and I said, we worked out a price, probably $3.5 million. You know, the 3.7 million, right? Great house. They had 3 other agents in there. They said, and I knew we were going to be the lower priced agents, and there's not much waterfront selling out there, hardly any. And so I said to them, I go, what are the other agents did? She goes, well, one other agent came in right around where you were, like a little higher than you, and the other 2 came in at 5 million. And I go, really? I go, those 2 other agents that went at 5 million, they don't know the difference between what's for sale and what's sold. I says, those guys don't know. I says, they're buying your listing. They're going based on what's for sale. And the waterfront is not really selling that much right now because everybody that has waterfront is over asking. And I have 3 formulas that I use to figure out price. So I worked out what the market's gone up in that area. It was about 190%. They bought in 2007. Okay, perfect.
Wow, good for
no
them.
problem.
Yeah. Great.
And that brought it to 3.8 million. Okay. And then I did the MPAC report, and the MPAC report said 3.2 million. Sometimes that could be low, sometimes that could be high. Yeah. So it's within reason. And then I did basically what the market is, and I almost had to go back 5 years and try to calculate different formulas and everything. And I'm telling you, it was between 3.5 and 3.7 that I felt was the right number for this. And then, but 2 agents said 5 million, and I said, really? And I says, and the first question I asked her, I says, what is the most important thing that you're looking for in a realtor? She says, honesty. I says, well, I'm going to tell you something. You're not going to like how honest I'm going to be with you.
You're not going to want honesty.
Honesty. So I said to her, listen, those agents that said 5 million, I says, were they confident? And they go, oh, they were really confident. Well, yeah, because they're salespeople. I go, and I said, listen, if you like one of those guys and you want to go at the 5 million, I say hire those guys, because if you said to me, list at 5 million, I said, I'm sorry, we would probably have to not take that job, because I go, look, I looked at the percentage of value. You bought for 1.3 million.
Yeah,
a house doesn't go up that much in that time. I'm sorry. I says it's an unrealistic number. I go, those guys, they don't know the market. And I says, if I'm willing to walk away from it, that must be telling you something. I'm telling you basically, like, I'm going to get 0 if I take it. So I rather be the second agent in. So listen, sign those guys, have those guys sign you up. Call me in February next year, and I says, I'll take care of you.
Yes. Oh my God. How many homes sell over 5 million on the lake?
Oh my God.
That's the other question. So did they tell you what your chances of selling over 5 million are?
No,
it's like
no kidding. And I can't believe this. Well, there was one that just got listed on Aquamarine close to 5 million. I don't even know why they listed that. So it must be a relative or something. They had no choice. But they're looking at that. And it's just that they're following the loss leaders. Why are these agents doing this? And you know what I mean? Like, there's no chance.
Those are the ones that are going to have the complete ridiculous lowball offers, and it's going to be a complete waste of time then as well too, right?
Well,
you got no skin in the game,
if
right?
anything.
They're not going to get the low ball offers. They're not going to
No.
even get the.
Crickets.
They're too low. They're too high. They're too high.
It'll be crickets. It'll be crickets, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. That's just, and then everybody gets frustrated, right? That's just no way to do it. I love what you said, but you're not the lowest, Rob. You guys price with precision. We're the most precise price.
Yeah.
That's it. We are the most precise. When you're telling me you've got that checklist and what you're doing, you are pricing with precision. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's just, you know what? And I tell them, I'll be calling you probably 30 days before your listing expires. I'll tell them that. And I mean, because they're a client now. I was invited there. I have the right to talk to them and say, hey, let me know if there's anything I can help you with. That's it. But but again, there was one house on the lake years ago. I went in and I said 1.6 million to their house, right? And they were looking over 2.5 million. This guy couldn't wait to kick me out of his house. Like, this guy was like, get this meeting over with. 2.5 years later, 2 years or 2.5 years later, it's off the market. I call him up. I said, hey, the last guy that had your house listed, you got it at the right price, but he didn't sell it. And he goes, Rob, come and visit me. And I did. And I listed it at the price, actually 100,000 more than what we had suggested 2.5 years prior. It took me 60 days to list because he did wear out all the buyers. Like, he did, exhausted all the potential buyers that would have loved this place. We sold it in 60 days. And it sold. I've been his realtor ever since we sold it. Yeah. He realized I was not bullshitting him.
Yeah.
He realized, he goes, holy shit! I didn't want to. I didn't want 2.5 million. What am I going to be one of those agents that's going to show on there? Like, yeah, we have taken over price listings. I'm not denying that. If anybody's listening. We have taken over price listings, hoping that they will reduce. And sometimes they don't, and sometimes they do. But I like to give a realistic price.
Yep.
If they want to try higher number, no problem. But at least they know the price.
Then, if they come to you and say, Rob, we like you, but we want to try 2.5, but we're willing to drop.
Yep.
No, I won't. Some of the agents on my team might try and see, but I won't, because you know what? Because I need a year contract, but during the year they say, oh, we want to cancel, and I say, wait a minute, you know the situation. I'd rather be the second agent or third agent in on that deal all the time, second or third, and I drop that seed in them. I will drop that seed and say, hey, go with them. If he's confident, then you better run with him. I go, but if he's going to beat you up on price in 2 weeks, guess what? He's lied to you, and now you're stuck with him.
That works great. We do that in the mortgage side all the time. We just had a client where, they're buying a $3 million house. They had offshore income, very unique situation, and none of the banks would touch it. We had to price it out at a higher rate. They said, oh, we've got a great relationship with the bank. I said, great. If you got a relationship, you go to the bank, but when it doesn't work out, I'm happy to come back and do the deal, right?
Yeah.
Sure enough, they put the offer in on the house the day before the condition's supposed to be removed.
Oh, there you go.
It can't get done.
Yeah.
Right? And these things, to your point, Rob, honesty, it's the best policy, and the business comes back tenfold, because then you get a client for life.
Yeah.
All the time. Then they listen, and they know that you're not just trying to line your pocketbook. You're actually telling them it may be the stuff they don't
transparency.
Want to hear, it's the reality.
Yeah, transparency. Yeah. I mean, you're saying lakefront too. And the other thing is, a lot of lakefront people in Grimsby, Niagara call somebody from, Oakville. And when those Oakville agents see these properties, it's free. You got to think, in Oakville, off the water, you get 7-8 million on a 100-foot lot. Yeah. So when they see something like that on the water, they're thinking, they're thinking double the price. And that's why you need a local realtor all the time. It's just, you can't pull the wool over people's eyes. 100%.
No. And you know what? And sometimes these agents, they'll call a Toronto agent to come in. I says, you know what? Do the test. Yeah. Call them up and say, listen, I want to look at a house, and see if they'll want. They'll call another agent. They want your listing, but they just want to show up to sign you up, and and then they figure they don't have to go back, because they can do DocuSign and not go back through that traffic and everything. Do you want a guy that's not going to be ready and available for you anytime? I'll tell you, you want somebody local. You got to go with local. I just don't get it. People don't think, Conrad, look at this, REMAX Escarpment, and they're in the top 10 in the Toronto Real Estate Board.
Yeah, we're actually number 2 in listings sold. Number 2 in listings sold. When you combine REMAX Niagara, we're number 2 in listings sold. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, like we're doing more business than the actual Toronto agents are doing, and everybody thinks that they've got more contacts. They don't. We have just as much exposure that any Toronto agent does because we're members of the Toronto Real Estate Board.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And you have more marketing horsepower than most. Like these guys, like you said, they put up a sign. They go back over the bridge, and then that's it. End of story. And then hope for the best, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I'll tell you a quick story. We were running out of time. I love it when one guy from Toronto came and viewed one of my listings, and then he forgot the key. He left it in his pocket, went back to Toronto, and he goes to me like this. He goes, "Oh, I'll do it tomorrow." No. You're doing it now. Otherwise, I'm going to call Treb, and you're going to get a $600 fine if you don't bring it back right now. I says, "Oh yeah, are you kidding me? I'm not going to let that guy get away." You know, and I said, "Yeah, like you know what? Like you want to come into like there's less agents from the Hamilton, Niagara, go to Toronto versus these Toronto agents coming in and making a mess in our market that they don't even know what's going on." And you know what? I'll tell you, if you're a person that owns a house or looking to buy a house and you're using a Toronto agent, like I'm not like, guys, listen, I believe in local, but listen, these guys don't know our market. They don't even know what a septic system is or a cistern. They think every house in the whole Niagara, Hamilton area have sewers. And you should see when they close the deal and then all of a sudden they got backwater coming up and they run out of water. They have no clue at all. But anyway, guys, listen, thanks for being on. By the way, Brian, is it Christmas? It looks like you got the Christmas colors behind you. What's going on?
It's Christmas in Cabo. I'm actually in Cabo, St. Lucas.
Oh, wow. You're in Cabo. My God.
Down here I do an elite mortgage mastermind with a whole bunch of guys from the States and did it in Cabo this year. So we're here for a couple days talking about the U.S. So,
yeah, wow.
And no kidding. We're in Canada. I'm sitting there going like, oh my gosh. It is.
So what time is it there now?
8:30. We're 3 hours behind. So
wow. All right. Awesome, buddy. Awesome. That's good. Thanks for being on. I appreciate it. You guys are always good for that. All right.
Yeah, you got it.
All right, man. Listen, have a great weekend, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Rob.
Ciao.
See ya.
Yeah, picking the wrong realtor, that'd be a big mistake. That cost me money.
Hi, Rob here, and hey, we get it. We get that the right realtor makes all the difference. My advice, talk to 3 realtors, including one from the Golfi team. Compare and you'll see no one gets results like Golfi because of the millions we invest in marketing, getting you the most money in the least amount of time.
The Golfi team, Golfi gets it sold.
Pick the right realtor. Just Google Golfi.